Hello there. In the first part of this video I'm going to talk about the difference between Blender 3 and Blender 2.92, and if you're using an Apple or Linux it's probably best if you use Blender 3 because you will be able to use JewelCraft as the asset manager rather than the PY clone. Now if I just go to Blender 2.92, this is what mine looks like, the way I will show you how to set it up later on in this video. And we've got this PY clone asset manager on the left hand side, but it's actually no different from the JewelCraft one, which we can put here on the right hand side. It's just the icons are bigger. So for example, if I go to Patterns Alchemy there and go to Patterns Alchemy there, you'll see I've got exactly the same objects. Now throughout the videos, as you're watching in this course, what I normally do is to drag and drop and hit the P key on the keyboard to put those assets onto the screen. That's how I do it from PY Clone. In JewelCraft, all you need to do is to click Import Asset and it will just place it in the middle of the screen. So if you can't install PY Clone because you're using an Apple or a Linux machine, or you can't install it on Blender 3, just use JewelCraft. Now if I actually close Blender 2.92 down now and go to Blender 3, this is what Blender 3 looks like, and I've already installed JewelCraft here, and later on in the video I'll take you through how to do it slowly, and you can see my folders are here, and they are actually the FluidDesigner assets, which is just unzipped on your hard drive, and you go to install add-ons, and when you install JewelCraft, what you have to do is to link to the FluidDesigner assets folder, and it's done here under JewelCraft Asset Manager. And if I just remove that link there, essentially when you start JewelCraft up, you'll have to add a library and double click on the folder, and wherever you unzip the FluidDesigner assets, and in my case it's on the desktop, so wherever is the FluidDesigner assets, if you open that folder and accept it, you'll see that you get all the library over here. And I say I'll take you through that more slowly later on. So when you actually want to save any files and save them to the assets over here, what I would recommend that you do is, if you click on the three buttons here, if you create a category, and if you create your category 000, say my files, that will essentially put it at the very top of the list. So here are all the folders. Most of these you would have unzipped with the FluidDesigner assets. We've just created the first folder here. So you can save your files into the first folder, which will make it easy for you. And when you do that, if I just go to add mesh, and if I add a cube, and if I just zoom in on that, and if I save that into that asset folder, I've got the cube highlighted over here. If I add it to the library, make sure it says selected objects here and not collections, and make sure that the name cube is the same name as the object over here. So if I click OK, you'll see that will appear in the asset library. So if I just delete that cube now, I can import it. Alright, so that's how you can save and open up an object. Now it doesn't give me a file name here, so something I would absolutely recommend you do is to go to Edit and Preferences, go to JewelCraft, and there's a little box that you can tick to display the file names, and it's down at the bottom here, so show the asset name, and you can see it now says cube here. So if I want to create another one, so if I go to add and a UV sphere, and if I add that to the library, make sure the sphere is selected over here, and make sure you use the same name when you save it. So selected object, sphere here and sphere here, and click OK, and you can see that that saves the sphere, and we've got the name this time. Now if you want to save two objects at the same time, what you will need to do, so if I go to add cube and just move my cube to the left a little bit, and if I go add a sphere, and just move my sphere to the right, instead of saving these, what you need to do to save two objects at once is to select collection. and I would click in there and change the name to sphere-cube. And when you add that to the library, instead of selected objects, you need to change it to collection. And notice the name comes up, sphere cube, and then click OK. And you'll see that there are 2 objects appear now. So that's how you can save to the asset library in JewelCraft. Okay, so that's a kind of very quick introduction here as to the difference between Blender 3 and Blender 2.92. In 2.92 you would drag and drop, but in Blender 3 you can actually use JewelCraft. So you're now going to go learn how to install the user interface and install the add-ons that are required for this course, including JewelCraft and the FluidDesigner assets. It says Blender 2.9 here, but essentially it's the same for Blender 3. The only difference is that business with regards to the PY clone asset manager. Okay, so just watch the rest of the course now. Thank you.